All right, what's up guys? Welcome back. So working on the car again today. So what I did in the last video was get the manifolds made basically, but you saw on the last one I had this one kind of mounted up in the offset position. So I took this apart and I re-welded it today. I did do the welds with the TIG welder. They don't look very good, but I had to get a little creative with this one, and it took a couple hours to do it. So it probably took, it was at least 2 hours to get everything to a point where it's pretty much level. So depending how you clock the turbos, which they're both facing straight down right now, it changes the level, of course, a little bit. So this was a little bit tricky to kind of get this one in the same height as this one, or at the same height, when it was off by, you know, the basically bolt to bolt on the flange. That's how far off it was. So what I did was I just chopped this section out, and then I had to kind of cut some angles on here and monkey around with it until I could get it to where it needed to be. So it took a while to do it, but it's here. I mean, it's not perfect, of course. You can see like one is kind of straight and the other one's angled up slightly, but I don't think you're really going to be able to tell or see any of the stuff because this is all going to be covered, and you know, it's going to have a hood on it. So when I'm driving down the highway, I don't think anybody in the other lane is going to really complain too much. What I'm going to do next is start to notch out the frame rails. I did mark them a little bit, so I'm not going to have to go too much. I'm just going to cut a little bit out of it so I can get the V-band on there. And then I am going to do the 3-inch downpipe. I thought about doing like stainless downpipe, but I'm not really sure. I might do it. I have to get the stuff. The reason I'm not right now is I don't have the stuff to basically set the welder up to do back purging. Welding stainless pipe, you should be able to plug the tube and back purge, and I'd have to get all that stuff yet. So in the interest of time right now, I might just do it that way instead of having to wait to get all the stuff. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. I've also been looking at AC lines. So I think I talked about that in the last video too, that I wanna, you know, obviously I'm keeping the air conditioning and I have to figure out what I wanna do with this. So I'm sure a local shop could probably extend these. So what I might do is buy another one of these hoses and then cut one on the short end and one on the long end, and then they make little like butt connector splicers that you can crimp, but these crimpers are like pretty expensive, like 150 bucks for a crimper that I would use once. So probably not gonna do that, but I'm sure a local shop can crimp them for me. Or what I did find, another option, was I did a lot of research on this and found they make these spring lock adapters, so you can adapt the spring lock to an AN fitting. So they're aeromotive fittings, like for fuel systems, and they're for Ford. So I think that they would probably be the same size, the Ford versus Nissan. Maybe I'd have to verify it, but the fittings are expensive. They're like $50 to $80 a piece, but you'd be able to adapt these lines to an AN line. So there's a female spring lock to AN adapter, and then there's a male spring lock to AN. So you'd be able to put the little adapter on there, put your AN line, and then adapt the other one. So you could just extend it using a typical, like a regular AN fitting. So the low pressure side is typically like 30 PSI. High pressure side is gonna be something like 200 to 300. So just kind of spitballing here, brainstorming ideas. I do want to get this thing probably all the way up and over. I did pull this one out, and you can see how much length I'm able to get out of it because there's a lot of bends in here. So if I just pull the bends out of it, I'll be able to put that one in there. So I'm gonna stop talking. Let's get to work. All right. I guess it's not terrible. Not terrible. Alrighty, guys. So just been kind of buzzing away at this. Got it pretty much done now on the inside. I did use the TIG welder on all of this, so I didn't clean any of the metal, so it's a little ugly, but I don't think it looks too bad for what it is, considering. So this side, I actually had to do some opposite-handed welding, so it's tough to get in here. So I actually had to do some of this with opposite hand. First time I've ever even tried to do that. So got everything all welded up. And now I'm going to go to the opposite side. So I'm going to have to pull the headlights out to get to the other side to weld it. But this thing is pretty much completely boxed in now. And, you know, I mean, it's not really like it needs to be structural. It's just holding the radiator and kind of a crash bar. So just kind of buzzing away at it. So I am going to have to cut out some of the headlight support bracket. Obviously, I'm not going to cut out the headlight, but there's some stuff I'm going to have to remove there yet. Oh, that one was tricky. A lot of movement going on there. By movement, I mean I was trying to, I like adjusted the torch angle, and it was moving around a lot. It was burning my hand. Rod was getting too short. There's the one I just did. And none of this stuff I cleaned before, so it was adding a lot of garbage into the weld, but I don't think that was too bad for the weird angle and then having to adjust the torch mid-weld and all kinds of stuff. Alrighty, so just to test fit the turbos, here's what they look like. I did throw one of the V-bands on there. I wanted to check the clearance because this one is a little bit off, or it looked off compared to the turbo, but it actually works perfect with the V-band. So the clearance is tight, but it should work very well unless you do something like that. Then you can see it's a little bit off, but we'll do it like this. And then we'll just tell people that we tried it. It'll be really good. So I do have to weld these yet. I noticed that when I was mounting the turbos that I forgot to weld these here. So this is what it looks like. And this looks very complicated, especially with the headlights up top, which they won't be there. But it's just interesting to think about all of the stuff that is happening here. So, ooh, I should get that off of the belt. So it's just interesting to think about all the stuff that's happening. So we have power steering, alternator, air conditioning, turbos. It seems like it's a lot. I mean, it is a lot. You don't really see this a whole lot. A lot of the twin turbo 350Zs that you see, they're usually like completely gutted and look very, very different. So I feel like this one, with the location, with the mounting of the turbos, because the exhaust actually comes down and out instead of up and over, which a lot of them do. They come up and over. So I'm going to be able to keep the coil packs and plug wires factory looking, and a lot of this is going to be covered up by, you know, the little front dealy here. So I don't feel like this one will be as different looking as a lot of the other twin turbo LS 350Zs that you see out there. So I'm kind of excited about that, and that's just how I feel. So I'm going to finish welding this thing up. I think I'm pretty much done for today after that. Let me know what you guys think about this whole dealie. Turbos are pretty much level now. That's exciting. I do have enough room for the drain, so it's some people asking about what I'm going to do for the drain. So think about the drain here, and then where the oil level is going to be. So oil level is probably going to be around here, and then the drain is going to be up here. So I do have, what I feel is plenty of room to come back into the top of the pan or the timing cover or something like that. So we'll see. We'll see. We will see.